the stiff truth.
So go ahead and kick us off. It's you, Bob.
Okay. I can do that today.
I would appreciate that.
Welcome to the Stiff Truth. I am Bob West. I'm here with Scott Casanova. We're so happy to have you here. We've got a lot to talk about. Episode 81, season 3. Look at us go.
Dude, I actually got kind of nervous when you said that. I thought you were going to fuck up and say like the wrong number. I was like 80 season. What? But you're right. It's a great day for a show, Bob, and a lot has happened. I think we should just get it over with right now. Just like prison sex, just hammer it out, get it done, and move on with your life. Let's talk a little bit about what's happened so far with Wild Card Weekend here for the NFL. It is today. It is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, not his birthday, just his day, his day, his holiday that we're celebrating today. And we've had 3 out of the 4 games for Wild Card Weekend happen already. Most notably, and the one that we were all just pulling for, was the Dallas Cowboys playing at home against the San Francisco 49ers. And I'll tell you what, I think we were on the same page here. I want to say like 5-6 minutes into the first quarter, we both thought it was over, meaning like the Niners were going to run away with this. But Bob, can I just say really that game kind of sums up like the NFC East and how they normally play? I'm just going to say that though. But Bob, I mean, how are you feeling? Are you okay today? Have you been like in the corner at all today, kind of crying yourself to sleep a little bit, or how are we doing, man?
No, I mean, it sucks to lose to a team that has zero chance at like winning anything. But in the end, it is what it is. I mean, this is the Cowboys. They didn't get any favors from the refs. They had 14 penalties, which is a lot. They're the second most penalized team. I think they often are, and I think some of that has to do with the blue star on the side of the helmet.
Are you?
I mean,
they single out the Cowboys. I get it though. I see what you're saying. There's some haters. There's some haters.
That the calls against the Cowboys are always a lot tighter than necessarily other teams. There's just a lot of inconsistencies there just in the game, but regardless of the refs and the way that it was called, something like 14 penalties, like 4 or something like that. It was the slow start for the Cowboys. I don't know what happened. They came out flat, and in the playoffs, if you come out flat, you're done. You're just done. This isn't like the 3 yards in a cloud of smoke NFL, right? This is the high-powered offense. Defenders can't touch receivers, can't touch the quarterback. If you don't keep pace and score points, you're not going to win in the playoffs, and that's just kind of how it is. And that's what happened. They almost made it interesting. There with about half of the fourth quarter left, they're down by a touchdown. They got the ball back. 4th down, they make a great play, and the receiver just drops the ball right in his hands. Drops the ball on like the 20-yard line.
Who was that, by the way? Was that
Cedric Wilson?
I was just about to say Cedric. Yeah. Okay. So not one of your
elites. Yeah, the reason he's open, I'm sure, is because you have number 19 and number 88 running around out there. So if you got Cooper and
CeeDee Lamb.
Lamb, it tends to open people up, and that was kind of the deal breaker there. But really, the game was lost in the first 8 minutes of the first quarter. In fact, I hit you up right away when it was 10-0. I was like, this does not look good.
Yeah, no, and in fact, I think after the Niners scored the second time, you're like, you hit me up, text me, said game over. And I was like, slightly premature, Bob. You know how this works. There's actually 60 minutes in a game. We've only rounded about 15, but I get what you're saying. And that was the one thing that I think, as you just said, I think what made the hugest difference in this game, because it was still ended up being a very close game. It literally, they score a touchdown at the end and get the extra point. They win by 1 point. You know what I mean? It's
they were there. I mean, they ended on like the 25-yard line with time running out. So, I mean, they were right there, but it shouldn't have been that close.
getting into a situation where they did come out flat and ended up trailing by 14, like almost right out of the gate, that's kind of like where they had their struggle. It was like a uphill battle from there. And I'll tell you what, though, dude, silver lining, consolation prize so far, because there's still one game tonight, and we'll talk about that one in a minute, but that was by far the best football game to watch as an objective spectator out of the games this weekend, because the Bills blew the fuck out of the Patriots, which, don't get me wrong, we talked about it. Fantastic for us to see, and for us to see Belichick squirm, but not really a competitive game. I mean, literally, I think the Bills were almost like performed a perfect offensive game, versus,
the Patriots playing like trash, because the Patriots are trash.
Yeah, 100%. And then the Eagles Buccaneers game kind of looked competitive at the end of the game if you just took the score, but those 15 points came in the fourth quarter, and they were kind of give me points. Like, they're like, here, just score, because we want time to run out and we're kind of bored now, so let's go. Because it would have been 31-7 or something like that if they probably would have tightened things up and played the way they wanted to. And I didn't watch the game last night, but I saw the score. 42-21. Chiefs just like stomped all over the Steelers, which is justified. We all know the Steelers shouldn't have rightfully been in the playoffs. Neither should have the Eagles. So they got put out and put out quick. But the Cowboys-Niners game was actually a very fun game to watch. I mean, it had me out of my seat multiple times, and both sides of the table, I didn't really have a dog in the fight. So I was just more watching it as an optimist or an objective spectator, which was fun. Don't get me wrong. But again, let's just go ahead and just address the elephant in the room, though, because I don't know who did it, and I've heard it both ways, but who calls a quarterback draw with 14 seconds left on like the 30-yard line with like no timeouts? Some people are saying that was a legit like call by Mike McCarthy. I don't know. Me and you, we tend to disagree, at least after the game when we were heated. We were kind of thinking maybe Dak did that on the fly. That to me was the most puzzling thing, because you're right. It was pretty much over by then. But 14 seconds, that gives you like 2 shots to the end zone.
You can't, with no timeouts, you can't clock the ball at 14 seconds. You just can't, because you have to run the play, and that's going to take 3 to 5 seconds. And there's just not enough time for the ref to touch the ball and set the ball, and then you get everyone set, because you have to be set for a second. Like, it's just not enough time. So if that was a known call, that was beyond aggressive. That was just retarded. And I'm sorry to say it that crass, but so I really doubt that was the call play, the play call.
And that's the thing. I wonder, and we talked about this yesterday, is like the conversation right out of the game, right after the game. If it was a Mike McCarthy call, which again, I'm not sure, we don't know yet, then it's kind of like, is Dak super pissed at McCarthy? Shouldn't he have challenged that play when he got it in his helmet? Or other way around, if that was supposed to be like a fucking Hail Mary and Dak just decided, you know what? I'm going to run it. Because here's the other thing. What if he would have made it to like the 1 yard line, but then got tackled?
It would have been the epic effort.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But if he would have made it to like the 1 yard line, then there's like 5 seconds left on the clock when he's trying to get everybody back up there. They have a little bit further to run too. And there's no time to spike it at all. To me, it was troubling in the sense that I was confused at the end of the game. I was like, what are we doing here? You know,
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Let's not even analyze the last drive, because that's not what lost the game. That was the miracle fucking hope and prayer shit that they're trying to pull off to get into a spot against a hapless fucking offense, to where you have to need a miracle with 5 minutes left. That's the problem. It's not that Dak ran or didn't run, or if it was called or it didn't call. The problem is you got a team that's led by Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G, baby. Jimmy
G.
G.
They can't move the ball like at all. So for them to just be like that far behind with a team that averages like 18 points a game or something, that's the real problem. That's how they lost the game. The Cowboys have had a lot of they're Jekyll and Hyde all year long, right?
Right.
They have like the great game to open up against the Bucks. Very competitive. That's the team. That's the same team that smashed Washington, that smashed Philly, right? Yeah. That's the same team that took the Chargers down to the last second to kick that field goal, playing aggressive, like slow paced defensive game. Like they're playing up to their talent level, right? But they've also lost a ton of games this year that they shouldn't have. And once again, they're at home and they come out and they don't score until late in the second quarter. I mean,
Yeah.
game over. I don't even care who you're playing. If you're not going to score at all until late in the second quarter in the playoffs, you're probably going to lose that game.
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing too. If you think about it, because you're right, I think the game was over in the first half. I mean, that the way they were set up to come out in the second half, it was kind of already a very bad uphill battle. And if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't throw that pick in the fourth quarter, I think it was like the beginning of the fourth quarter to kind of set them up to like bring the score really
It's
close.
a blowout.
Then it's like 30 to whatever, like 14 or something like that. It's just a little bit more of like out of hand. But he threw that pick, kind of set him up, and then that set him up to make that kind of wing and a prayer kind of last drive or what have you. But either way, I mean, hey, I'm proud of the team. They did make it to the playoffs instead of having an embarrassing last 4 or 5 games of the season like Washington. So
someone from the NFC East has to make it to the playoffs.
Somebody has to win. Last year it was Washington with a losing record. You know what I mean?
So someone has to go. I'm really surprised we had 2 teams go from a division that was that bad.
And it's funny, they both got snuffed out the first weekend.
Of course they did.
Yeah, that's how we roll, because we're definitely not the strongest division yet. Next year, like we know, Bob, with our blind optimism in the offseason, 2022 is going to be Washington's year. You just watch out, buddy. We're going to get a quarterback that doesn't get hurt. We're going to have a tight end that doesn't get hurt, and we're just going to light up. We're going to light up the sky.
Well, I also have a sneaking suspicion that Zeke Elliott and Amari Cooper are no longer Cowboys after this year.
I agree. It frees up a lot of money, and they got Pollard, dude. Honestly, he can just slide right in as the number one. And we've talked about it before. Amari Cooper's a name, and he draws sometimes some double teams or whatever, but that's really about it.
Zeke's locked up for like 2 or 3 more years on his current contract. So if you traded him somewhere, they get like a couple few guaranteed years at his current salary, and they get that out of him. So someone that desperately needs a running back, and there's plenty of teams out there that do, that'd be great, but it frees up cap space for them. And let's be honest, dude, I don't know what it is, but Zeke ain't the same running back this year. He doesn't have the same pop. He doesn't have the same vision. Like he's just lost a step.
It's weird. It's almost like he got his payday and then started sucking it up.
Yeah, funny how that happens, right?
Same thing that happened to you. You remember Joe Flacco? He after they won the Super Bowl, he got like the biggest contract at the time or whatever for a quarterback. And right after that, dude, he just decided just to hang it up. He said, well, I've got my payday. And now he's been like tossed around the league like a quarterback slut as a backup here and there. Same kind of thing, bro.
Yeah, it's the Albert Hainsworth deal.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't bring up that guy.
$100 million. And now I'm done.
Yeah, then he's going to go sit out on an important third down because his fucking head hurts or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
I will tell you what, I've got to mention this though, because we got to give our boy Mike Lenz a round of applause here for his Cincinnati Bengals. Big Bengals fan. We did neglect to mention that was actually a pretty damn good game. The Raiders just didn't go away. I don't think they rightfully should have even been there. I think we talked about this too, but they were there.
They showed a lot of scrap.
Dude, they are a scrappy, really. I mean, they went after it, bro, and they just hung around and didn't go anywhere. But I'll tell you what, Jamar Chase, Burrows, that's if they stay on the same team, we're going to be talking about them in a few years in the Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning, Steve Young, Jerry Rice kind of conversation, I think, because goddamn, those guys are good, and they're both super young and super dialed in already. So I'm excited to see if the Bengals can keep pushing forward here. I don't know. They're going to be going up against what do we got now? We got the Titans. Are they playing the Titans in?
Lowest seed will play the Titans.
So that would be them, right? And because
the winner from the lowest seeded game will play the Titans.
Because I do know that the Bills are going to play Kansas City. So I think the Bengals are going to be playing the Titans. So that should be interesting. So we'll see how that rolls out here. Let me ask you this. We'll move on from football.
I've got them here.
Good.
So
come on, give me the gold.
So it does look like the Titans are going to be playing the Bengals. And then it looks like the Bills are going to be playing the Chiefs.
Yep.
Looks like the Cardinals are going to be playing the Packers.
Listen to this guy.
The Niners are going to be playing the Bucks. So good luck with that, Niners.
I thought the Niners were going to Lambeau. That's what they said after the game. That's interesting.
That's not the way the brackets are lined up.
Weird. Well, we'll figure it out. I did want to talk.
Well, also, honestly, the lowest seeded team will go play the Packers. So the lowest seeded team left.
That's the 49ers.
The AFC is the Bengals. That's why they're playing the Titans.
Yeah.
The lowest seeded team here would be the 49ers. So they would play the Packers.
Yeah. So the Packers should win that game and then move on and play. I don't know, tonight's game though. That's what I wanted to talk about though. I don't care who wins, meaning I'll be happy if either team wins. I know that we talked about it yesterday. You're kind of like pulling for the Rams. I agree with you, bro. I think
I'm not even pulling for the Rams. I'm pulling for Stafford.
That makes sense. That does make sense. And he's on the Rams. So by default, you're going to be going for the Rams.
It's a proxy thing. Yes.
I agree. I'm not going to be disappointed if Arizona wins, but this is going to be a fun game to watch tonight because again, I can go at this game at the lens of just being an objective football fan as a spectator, no dog in this fight, but interested to see what happens. I'm interested and I'm very excited for the divisional rounds. And I'll tell you what, dude, this time of year is when I start to get a little sad too, because I know a few more weeks and we don't have football anymore till next August. I mean, this August coming up, that's a lot.
But let's give it up. Let's give it up. We have to mention this. Scott and I are in this big fantasy league. Scott, huge. Scott made the championship game in our big paid league. Fell a little bit short, but a second place finish is actually decent in that league, right? So you did good. So congratulations on that season.
Thank you, sir.
Was the first eliminated in the playoffs, but hey, at least I made the playoffs.
We did make it.
But we also have a side league that's called our Married with Children League. And that's just kind of all of us moms and dads. And you know, my son's in this league. It's still a buy-in league. It's not like it's a bitch league, but
a little bit lower of a buy-in though for the kid. You know, we want to make sure he can get it with his lunch money, you know, stuff like that. Nothing crazy.
Lower buy-in, also a little bit less competitive overall, a little bit less knowledgeable with the waiver wire maneuvers and that, because the crazy league is absolutely crazy. And you know, lucky if you're listening, congrats, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
So moving forward on our family league though, your wife had a good season, and then near the end kind of turned it up, and then just lights out for the playoffs.
Just mopped up the floor with the other contenders, we'll say there. But no, they both had because it was Jesse and Travis both had way better records and both got kind of eaten up with that any given Sunday kind of, you know, thing happening. But she was very pumped and it was nice. The Castle Nova house here, first and second place respectively in some pretty rough leagues here. I think for her skill level and just know how with football, that league kind of matched more, you know what I mean, where it made sense, because like an even playing field, so to speak. So no, we were happy over here. We enjoyed collecting our winnings. It was nice.
It was a handsome payout, right?
Yeah, it was nice.
Did she buy something nice for herself, or you guys just got a total?
I honestly think she got some stuff for her office, because, you know, she's going back to school for her master's in education here next month. And she's beefing up the spare room to her home office. It's decked out. She's got all kinds of like Alice in Wonderland themed artwork and cool shit in there. There's a clock that you sit on the ledge, like a window ledge, and it looks like it's melting off the wall the way it sits up. Fucking dope. So she went ahead and treated herself just to make things in there just fit and vibe with her for that kind of scenario. So good shit. Very fun stuff. Can't wait till next year. I think again, we do both leagues. That's just what I'm saying. I don't know about you.
And I think we should buy a trophy for the Married to Children league. I
agree. By the way, we haven't even talked about what we're drinking here. I am adding this one to the list. That's right. The regular rotation at the Castle Nova household now is going to include me having some Bend Me Overs. Fucking amazing cocktail, is it not?
It is very, very good. And as far as our drinks go, it's the best new drink we've introduced in quite some time on the show.
Bob, I got to give it to you. This was all you, man. We were thumbing through on Tuesday, going through the book, trying to look for something clever to drink. And of course, a couple of names kind of jumped out at us. I'm not even going to mention the other one because we're going to have it in a future show. But the Bend Me Over, my friend, it is a dynamite drink. And guys, just so you can get out there and enjoy it, all the stiffies out there can go get just vodka. Everybody should have vodka. some amaretto, Di Serrano, if you want to go my style, and sour mix. And then you do equal parts of each. 1 ounce, 1 ounce, 1 ounce. Shake that up in a shaker, pour it in a nice little glass, and boom, bam. You got this lovely little invention.
I'm not so bougie. I had the D'Amore amaretto and the Sambuca package. I buy it in pairs.
Well, we already talked about this earlier in the show. You are a piece of shit, and you're very self-aware of this. So, I didn't expect for the amaretto to be part of the repertoire yet, but maybe you can graduate to it soon enough. I have faith in you, Bob, and I'm pulling
I've
for
got
you.
amaretto, it's a different brand. So, very, very good drink. What it amounts to flavor-wise is a vodka sour. I mean, if you're looking like a whiskey sour, very comparable. Like if you put those two next to each other and just the first time I tasted it, I was just like, man, that needs a fucking cherry. Right. And then I made the wife one. And then she's just like, huh, that's amazing. It needs a cherry. And I'm like, right. It does need a cherry. So mental note, garnish this shit with a cherry. It's every bit the sister to a whiskey sour. So if you're in the mood for whiskey sour, maybe you don't want your whiskey, or maybe you only have Scotch or something like that, then don't Scotch up your sour. Just make a band me over. You're going to be okay.
I like that. That's a good way to say not to fuck something up. Dude, don't Scotch up your sour. What are you doing? It sounds good. It sounds like a good way to just tell somebody to fuck off. I like that. Don't Scotch up your shower.
Hey, shut your mouth. Don't Scotch up my sour, okay?
Yeah. I like that. That should be rye or straight bourbon. I like that. No, that's good stuff. But it's very tasty. I got to say, I made one for Jamie too before the show, and I was like, because I was pre-gaming. I had to practice, you know what I mean? Especially I don't know what it is. And I know it's not difficult. We've talked about it before many moons ago. Every drink that we do that involves the shaker gets me fucking excited. It's the ritual of making a drink. That's part of the process and the ritual.
A little bit of like foamy frothiness too.
Oh, dude, yeah, it comes out like even the drink is excited. The drink can't even stand itself in the sense that it's like jumping out of its own skin. It's bubbling up at you. It's like, please drink me. It's fantastic. Gotta love it. Anyways, moving right along, Bob. We wanted to talk about something now. I guess it's weeks past now that this happened here, but I'm sure this was probably on a decent amount of people's radar here, but I'm going to do it, Bob. I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Are you ready? Are you ready for it?
Okay.
Go after it. Okay. So there was this happened in 2019. This was the incident. The truck driver basically crashed into multiple cars, killing 4 people here in Colorado in 2019. He was arrested. He recently was sentenced to concurrent, right? No. It was a concurrent or consecutive. How'd they line it up?
Consecutive.
That's right. Concurrent would be at the same time. So consecutive. Right. The guy had 26 counts ranging from vehicular manslaughter to, other like things, right? And long story short, instead of doing it concurrently and lining it up, there's some law in Colorado where the judge says like it wasn't really up to him. He had to run it this way. Long short, the guy got 110 years in prison. Now, he was 26 years old during the offense in 2019. But again, I'm no Andrew Lang, but 110 years, 26, that would put him around 130.
Even with good time, he's out at 81.
Yeah, I mean, which and living in prison your entire life, you're probably not going to have the nutrition and balanced diet and all these kind of things, eating ramen noodles and shit like that to make it to 81. If you do, congratulations. Anyways, our Governor Jared Polis, recently commuted his sentence down to 10 years. 10 years. The guy is eligible for parole in 2026, which is only 4 years away. He's already served 3 years in jail now. Yes, the guy did cause 4 deaths. Nobody here is saying that the guy's not guilty of being irresponsible and just not doing what he's supposed to, hence why he's still going to be in jail for a decent amount of time. But commuting it way down, again, not a mathematician here, but probably bringing that sentence down around 90% or so from its original sentence. So pretty good job by our governor here. But the guy's name, just so he can get a shout out for everybody here, Rogel Aguilera-Mederos.
I think you nailed it, dude. I think
all right.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
Rogel Aguilera-Mederos.
Yes, and Aguilera-Mederos is hyphenated. So if I'm correct on how that's set up, I believe he took his parents either had like a hyphenated name, or maybe the young man got married and decided to be pretty cool and hip with the times. And Mr. Rogel Aguilera picked up the Mederos. I'm not quite sure.
I
I'm not going
believe
to call bullshit
he
here.
was married. Like he is married, I believe.
Wow. I bet his wife's super happy right now. Or maybe she's pissed. I have no idea what kind of relationship they had. Maybe she thought he was going to be like locked away for 100 years, and she was like, "Yeah, party time." But I don't know. Anyways, what were you going to say?
So when I first heard of this, I was like, "That's fucking ridiculous." I've like literally known people to like murder people with their bare hands and get like half of even the 10 years, right? So like
True.
so for that's like that's ridiculous. 110 years, it seems like something's fishy in there with that. Is there like something racist or something going on with the judge? And right away we're like, what the fuck's wrong with the judge? Well, then when you hear the judge is like, actually that's not really what I wanted to do. That's just like the way that the law was written as I interpreted it was consecutive sentences, and it added up to 110, and it's beyond what I can do. Y'all need to change your laws in Colorado. Right. And so the governor's like, oh, we probably do. Anyway, let me take a look at this. And he did the right thing and put it down, with good time and everything. He's eligible for, like you said, December 30th, 2026.
Yep.
So then I was just like, that's a lot of time for like some bullshit, accidental shit. Like if my brakes are on my car and I kill some people, so I'm going to prison for that. So I thought that initially I was like, that's fucked up. Right. So then as I'm looking into this and I'm digging more and deeper down, it's because he's a truck driver and he has a CDL. Which
that's the thing right there.
Makes you a professional. And then I thought about, to put it in an analogy, it's the same as if a boxer fights you on the street and kills you with his bare hands, he's going to get way more time knowing that he's a professional fighter and he holds like certain credentials with the states and everything that he boxes in. It's going to get a way more harsh sentence for that, manslaughter than anyone else would. That's, just, Joe off the streets, because they don't really know any better. When this guy's trained for his body to hit the hardest, and he knows where to hit you and how to hit you. And so that's kind of the same thing. So truckers with their CDL, they have a checklist, a safety list. They go around their truck every time. They check all their blinkers, they check the brakes, they check their fucking everything, they check their hydraulic lines. There's this big safety checklist. And then when they're on the road, they're fucking professional drivers, right?
They're not supposed to make mistakes with driving. Hence the same thing too. Another kind of quick analogy here: a pilot. You know what I mean? He can't say, "Oh, whoops, guys, sorry, didn't quite do that landing right." You're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" You know what I mean? Or we're just skidding on the belly of the jet. No big deal. Sometimes I forget the landing gear. Like you just can't do those kind of things. That's why they have licenses.
Like Kobe's pilot.
Oh God. Oh, Jesus. Not too soon. I like where you went there. So, hey, let's just face it. I don't want to be an asshole to cool or anything like that. But if you're flying around in your own private helicopter and shit like that, I mean, that's kind of douchey anyways. Let's move on.
Yeah. Get yourself like some a 5G card and just kick back on your tablet in traffic. Like, who cares? So a lot of people don't understand this. And then the petition went around, which like I actually signed that petition. Like, yes, please evaluate this guy's sentence, because there's something about cruel and unusual punishment, and getting 110 years for 4 counts of manslaughter seems a little bit unusual.
Do you see what everybody, Bob? I hope everybody saw what Bob just did there. He just peppered in a little bit of credit for himself. I like how you did that, Bob. I thought it was beautiful. It was subtle. If I wouldn't have called it out, it probably would have went unnoticed, but kudos for you.
I give no credit. There's like millions of people that signed that thing.
But dude, it's just like voting. If you wouldn't have done it, maybe it wouldn't have gotten as much traction. You never know.
Well, it definitely got Jared Polis's attention. So he did evaluate it, and he did override it, and he did the right thing. Now, the follow-up to that is to probably like look at the laws and say, we got to keep people from interpreting these laws this way. Like, you can't get more laws for like driving your truck inappropriately than the Batman kid did in the Aurora movie theater. You can't get more time than that kid for that, So obviously there needs to like be some strengthening up of the verbiage and the way that the laws are written now. But yeah, like Colorado's the only state that has laws like that with bad verbiage. So I just wanted to explain that, because I don't think a lot of people quite understood that. They just see it as like a normal accident when it's not a normal accident. Now, I understandably, like one of the victims' wives made a statement about, he deserves time in prison to pay for his crime or whatever. And it's just like,
Well, hey, look, she's grieving still. I would still be
right.
grieving. I've lost people in my life. A year or two doesn't quite cut it to stop the grieving process. In fact, we can probably honestly say the grieving process never fucking ends. But
Yeah.
she also said he deserves to spend some time in jail. Hey, you know what? Hey, I agree. Here's 10 years for the guy. He can think about it and stare at a wall for 10 years. I don't know if anybody's been in jail for a day or two. Even that's a long time to stare at the fucking wall and eat that slop. You know what I mean?
Like after like a month, it's like a year.
Seriously.
It's like on the outside. It's time goes differently when you're on the inside.
It reminds me so much of that scene in Half Baked when he gets put in jail. It's like, hey, seriously, man. He's like, how long can you make? He's like, I don't know, 5, 6, 30. And they're like, come on, man. You got to be able to last longer than that. It's like that, though. Obviously, an exaggeration. But Bob, I interrupted you. Please continue.
No. I just
you're like, no, I'm done.
There's some angles from this that need to be taken into account, and the part that makes this such a fascinating story is really because the people spoke up. Because it was such an odd sentence, right? No one really knew about this until the sentencing happened, right? A 2019 accident a couple of years ago, and that didn't really make the headlines. Accidents happen all the time with trucks, whatever. And then it never really made into the news, much less national news, until it was, this dude's getting, a life sentence. And then that's when it was like, whoa, pump the brakes. But
hey, what if the line is cut? What do we do then, Bob? Seriously, though. Yeah, well, and here's the thing too. What's really interesting me about this, and what kind of opened up the discussion, so to speak, from our perspective here, is there's certain things on the books, especially with laws, and these are kind of, again, like you had mentioned before, up to the interpretation of the person that's overseeing the case, right? So regardless of how black and white the laws may seem, they are written, they're interpreted, and they have to be taken as so. That's kind of your duty as a judge, right? Or somebody that is judging that kind of scenario.
That's literally their job.
Yeah,
interpreting the laws.
Exactly. Yeah, not kind of injecting their own not their own understanding, their own opinion of what they think should happen. Because like we talked about, this guy was like, that doesn't sound right to me, but it is what it is. This is what the law says. So hey, dude, you get 110 years. Sorry about that, man. Tough breaks. I like that. but seriously, that's an issue right there. And that started making you and I think there's a lot of laws out there, and there's a lot of differentiations in laws to me that don't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? So not only is getting 110 years consecutive counts of like manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter, doesn't make any sense, but there's also a lot of things, and we specifically talked about this, laws in general as it pertains to your age sometimes can kind of fuck me up. You know what I mean? And
I love what you did right there. You definitely hit the emergency exit.
Well, I did. Yeah.
You hit the runaway ramp on this subject. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Well, it's essentially the same subject, just a different part of it. Right. But that was one of the things that I thought of when we were talking, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when we initially had talked about this, but long short, and I'll use murder as my example here. Is there a lot of difference in your mind, Bob? And I'm asking you a question. A lot of difference in your mind if a 17-year-old commits and is willingly guilty of first-degree murder versus a 17 or an 18-year-old. Why is one basically could be facing the death penalty or life imprisonment? The other one, he's just going to go to a boys' home. You know what I mean? For like the next couple of years. And it's not even going to be on his record. That kind of shit blows me up too. So I know there's a lot more to, the lighter sentences, stronger sentences for being considered an adult, a minor, what have you. But I don't think that makes a lot of sense personally. I think you can kind of draw the line somewhere and say for ticky tacky. Okay. And here's the other thing. Kids will be kids in the sense that they're fucking stupid. Okay. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand how consequences really work to the extent that adults do. But it's, in my mind, I guess this opens up another can of worms too, is when is a person really an adult? But I've just kind of layered on 3 questions on top of my initial question, Bob. So I'm just going to shut up for just a minute.
Well, and then it gets really interpreted.
You okay? COVID? Yeah, definitely, dude.
I'm parched because I'm out of drink.
I'm almost there. I've been taking this one gingerly and slow. just like the prison
I,
sex.
I didn't. I took it like rough and fast and swallowed a
Well,
lot.
well, you got to kind of revel in it. You know what I mean? You have to enjoy every pump, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not a one and get it done kind of thing. I'm just saying sometimes.
So it gets really subjective, right? Because you have two 15-year-olds. Both of them shoot someone. Let's say it's gang violence. One judge in one state's going to be like, you know what? You're going to get murdered for that. But it's going to be juvenile murder. You're underage, and you're going to have a, 5-year sentence to be served out to your 21, and then you'll be cut loose from the juvenile system. Okay.
Then you're golden. Then you're golden. Yeah.
Right, but then you have a same kids, same situation, different state,
Texas.
maybe, or Florida or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's just like, all the gang files. Well, we're going to charge him as an adult. And he's going to look at life in prison. Same two kids, same crime. And one of them gets out at the 21 to go do God knows what. And the other one, we're paying a good $1,000 a month for 60 years, so.
And I don't even want to debate which kind of consequence and punishment is correct, because honestly, I think for humans to line up equal consequences and punishment for other humans, hard, almost impossible. That's just my personal opinion. Not saying that we can't give it our best college try, but that's just what I'm saying there. But in either scenario, is one just? Is a life imprisonment just? Is us paying for this guy to be in prison forever just? And what is the kid learning that gets 5 years, in juvie? Which, don't get me wrong,
neither one is effective, right?
Yeah,
so one, the kid won't learn much, except for now he'll be institutionalized. So his whole thought process, because that development process from the time you're 15 to 21,
huge difference.
Yeah, it's huge. So now your whole life, you see things from a different lens, right? You see things from a gangster. You see things from people on the inside, right? It's a different life. And then the other guy, he's just done. Now he's just like, playing crossword puzzles and chess like his whole life, just sitting there trying to avoid getting raped or murdered.
I was just about to say too, like both of them to a certain extent, prison sex on a Tuesday night is just a normal thing.
Yeah, and if you think that the 15-year-old is going to get off scot-free, then that ain't going to happen.
Hi, I'm scot-free.
Because the way that he's going to get institutionalized mentally and conditioned from the time he's 15 to 21 is going to lead to a lifelong of crime and prison in and out of the system until he's eventually there for life anyway. So essentially, both of those sentences are life in prison, statistically. So my school of thought is that crimes, we need to get rid of this arbitrary 18 or 21-year-old threshold in America of adulthood, because none of that fucking matters. Everyone has their different maturity levels. I know plenty of 30-plus-year-old people that have zero emotional maturity and act less mature than some 20-year-olds, right?
That opens up an interesting fact, though. So should some stupid ass fucking grown ass men that are retarded get charged as minors? This guy's just a simple man.
Well, I was thinking more like if you do something when you're 15, you just be like, listen, we're going to structure your sentence this way. You're going to do 5 years in prison, let's say, for instance, hard time, no good time. Just you're going to do 5 years, no matter what, because you need to know, like, you need to have some of your life taken away. But in that 5 years, you're also going to go to counseling. You're also going to have to do things, right? Get out of jail. We're going to take you to supervise that community service, or maybe we're going to send you to education. We're going to make you take college. We're going to try to condition you out of prison and rehabilitate you. And then over the next few years, you're going to be in the, a halfway system or more supervised type living to where you guys go. And we're going to try to teach you how to be people, right? Instead of this whole, we're just going to lock you up and charge people. Meanwhile, prison has been privatized and we're just all going to make money off of this. Let's just stop there. So we need to really reform all of these people. So whether they're 15 or they're 30, that's a huge difference. If you make a crime at 15, you shouldn't just be out when you're 21 and not having to learn or condition anything, and you're just out and you get to be on your own. I think that's dumb. I think that's just planning for failure, right? But then again, if you commit a crime when you're 35, you know quite a bit about how the world works at that point. So if the judge is like, oh, you just committed murder, I'm going to get 10 years for that. You know what? No, you're going to get 20 hard for that because you know what you did, So there's a difference there for me. the two 15-year-olds where one state will charge him as a minor and just give him a straight 5 years and no anything, kick him out. I don't think that does anything for us as a country. I don't think that does anything for us as a society.
No, it's a short-term solution and creating a long-term problem for that person and everybody in his path, right? It's pretty much setting up a career criminal at the end of the day.
100%.
I will say this, and I know this is not blanket. I can't say this. It can't be like over everything, but I kind of have a feeling here when it comes to non-violent crimes. And again, I'm not even going to try to define that. That's a whole conversation in itself, honestly. But if it's non-violent crimes, if nobody is harmed or killed or whatever in a crime, I'm okay with the juvenile arbitrary 18. 18 probably makes more sense for that. If you're shoplifting, if you're doing weird shit like this, if you're whatever, you're what do they call it? I don't even know. But if you're like, it's not trespassing. What am I looking at here? When like kids go fuck up shit at like what do you call that? What do you call that? When they like this, maybe they toilet paper a school or something like that, or like spray paint over there. What is that? It's like graffiti. But no, they call it something else.
It's like a destruction of private property.
Yeah. Something like that. Something like that kind of stuff. Like that realm, like stealing shit, this kind of stuff, like just being stupid, fucking loose cannon, dumb kid shit, where there's a comeback from that kind of stuff. Like, what did you do anything stupid when you were a kid? Like, yeah, I stole some shit from a fucking convenience store.
Yeah, almost all of us did something.
Yeah, right. It's like right? I did this, right? Whatever that. But if you start trekking into doing adult crimes, is how I like to think of it. If you're going to step up to the plate and start doing violent crimes, if you're raping people, if you're murdering people, if you're doing armed robbery, I mean, to a certain extent, like where you start involving deadly weapons and obvious potentials for people to get harmed or the intent to harm, then I start thinking the punishment has to fit the crime in the sense, if you're going to do a big boy crime, you're going to have big boy consequences to a certain extent. And that kind of eliminates all this stupid ticky-tacky fucking like lighter punishments for the same offense. I think if you're thinking big, you're going to get big punishment. That's kind of where my head goes when I just sweep with generalities, because that makes sense and it's easy to me. But then, yes, you're right. If you start going in and examining things and start picking stuff apart, then there's all kinds of variables that kind of give it that what if this, what if that, and you're like, well, I don't know, I guess this has to have a special circumstance, and that's where it gets a little bit murky. And I kind of like what you said better when it gets to that point. But I kind of look at it that way, because I honestly think that I never fucking murdered anybody. You never murdered anybody. We didn't rape people. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh yeah, wink, wink. But seriously, you, even as a child, I think in your mental capacity, if I go and kill this person, bad things should happen to me if I get caught. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be out in 5 years. I shouldn't be cut loose because of my age. I think there's a lot of people that have that mental capacity at the age of 12, 13 years old, right? I mean, it's very rare for that shit to happen where they're cold-blooded, like fucking just sociopathic about it.
Even more so to that point, Scott, is gangs will specifically use 12 and 13-year-old kids that they've targeted so that they will get out and they won't get those harsh sentences for going and killing their rivals or doing their drive-bys or their B&Es or whatever they have. So there's that.
When Bob says B&Es, he means bacon and eggs. That's exactly
that's right. Means. That's right.
Absolutely. That's some good shit, man. Don't mess around with that, kids.
Beans and asparagus. So
that would make your pee smell great.
So there's my whole thought process is this. We haven't really changed much in the way that we dole out consequences, right? And this can probably dig into another show completely, but to briefly hit on it, it is in a maximum security prison, which is where most murderers will go, San Quentin, Rikers Island, that sort of thing, right? It's over $1,000 a day to secure, feed, take care of the medical, the welfare of every single prisoner there. So obviously, do the math. That's $360,000 a year.
I don't have my calculator on me, so I'm not interested in doing the math, but it's a lot of money is what you're saying.
So what can we do for $360,000 a year that'll actually better rehabilitate these criminals and not have repeat offenders? And is it possible to even implement something like that with the money being funneled the way that it is and the power going the way that it is as far as corporations and political, that that would even be a possibility to change, because it seems like the teeth are really into that system, and the money is flowing a certain way. And I think it would be really hard and maybe even dangerous to try to make changes to that.
I agree. 100%. I mean, and you bring up something interesting too. I mean, I think it's part of this conversation, but really just would take it another level of just philosophical debate. Honestly, is just privatized prisons versus having like state-run stuff, and just the money there, right? I mean, let's just face it, dude. Money rules everything, right? So if you bring in profit into the scenario, people will look over what is just and moral to just get more money, to put it plainly. So that's like a whole other can of worms, if you ask me. So what can you do?
And people say that's because of capitalism, but I would argue that the same thing happened in feudalism. I mean, the same thing has happened in different types of economies, right? Where the money will start landing in places, and then those people that are receiving and funneling that money will keep things the status quo at the cost of everything else. So prison is no different. I'm glad that this guy got his sentence commuted. I do think that he probably deserves some time, as any of us would with manslaughter.
Yeah,
if you get guilty of manslaughter, you're going to serve some time, and that just is what it is, and that's what manslaughter is.
From my understanding, the guy could have literally just kind of pulled into the runaway truck lane when he realized his brakes were faulty or whatever, and could have probably saved this entire scenario. Now, again, I'm dumbing it down, but from the reading that I did, I was like, huh. Okay, so he blatantly just ignored like a lot of his training to save lives, and ended up having like a massive car pile up and killing 4 people. I mean, okay.
I think that was the key detail that got him convicted.
Yeah. Like there was a way to avoid it, because let's face it, dude, I have yet to be in a car that I'm driving where my brakes don't work. I hope I never get in that fucking scenario. You know what I mean? And I'm sure I would freak the fuck out. But if I had training with a large vehicle, I might know what to do, is what I'm saying. I think that's a key thing there. I think that's one of the reasons they probably teach you that. So there is that. So yeah, I don't think the guy should have just been pardoned, you know what I mean? Like out of the gate there. I definitely think the guy deserves to do some time, because his lack of action and his correct action lost the lives of 4 people. And those 4 people and their families are never going to have that back.
And plus, that's why you get so many training. Like, it takes a couple years of school to get a CDL, like dedicated full time to just learning how to drive and be safe out there, and be, again, a professional fucking driver. So yeah, that goes without saying. The reason those guys get paid so much is because of all those precautions and training that they're supposed to have. They're supposed to be professional. If shit hits the fan, they should know what to do, because they've been trained. And if you don't, and you make your mistakes, or you panic, or whatever, that's the risk that you run with getting that escalated pay. Not all drivers have to have CDLs and make, $100K a year or whatever driving rates.
Right.
There's plenty of Uber drivers out there that just drive a damn Prius,
and dude,
they have no responsibility.
They take it pretty seriously too. I'll give you one example I know, because my older brother has passed away. He had a CDL for a while, and I remember when he had a CDL. The legal limit for drinking alcohol is 0.08. For a truck driver with a CDL, it's 0.02.
So essentially,
yeah. So essentially, for some people, a 0.02 is like smelling a beer. You know what I mean? Like, you literally cannot even like have that shit. Like, there can't be any liquid alcohol like that has been consumed.
It could be mouthwash if you haven't had water since you 100% mouthwash. Yeah,
100%. Like it's no fun in games. I mean, they take it very seriously, because like we were talking about, this is like, when people see truck drivers, when people see that fly planes or whatever, these are people you should not have to concern yourself with, because they do this for a living, right? So yeah, 100%. That's kind of what needed to happen. But again, I'm glad the guy didn't have to sit in there for 110 years. Bob, I am a betting man, and I'm going to bet that he wouldn't have made it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't think I'm crazy. I don't think he'd have made it either.
I'll take the under on this one.
This is definitely a much better sentence. And honestly, it looked like it was like 10 years each for like a lot of things he was getting. So for basically, I think the governor just made them congruent instead of consecutive, and just kind of changed it up a little bit, and still gave him essentially the same sentence. But again, he still has a chance to like learn from this. I guarantee this guy never drives a truck again.
No,
right?
no, 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 no. I would imagine that's still like the number one term of his parole. It's like, okay, so you get out, you're never gonna. In fact, you're taking a bus everywhere for the rest of your life. I don't even think they're gonna give him a license. I don't even. I don't even, honestly. I don't think he'll get a regular license after something like that. Because again, if you have a sip of beer and try to drive around with your CDL, you're fucking done for the rest of your life with a CDL. So if you kill 4 people, yeah, I don't even think the guy, he's going to be riding a big wheel. That's actually his going to be mode of transfer. Mr. Rogel Aguilera-Mederos riding around in his big wheel around town. It's going to be cute. It's going to be cute.
Like delivering pizzas or something on a unicycle.
if he can get the license for his unicycle, because it's going to need to be street legal with that guy. You know what I mean?
So
great check.
I'm glad we talked about this, and it gave us another, avenue to kind of talk about some of the weird sentencing things in America with the juveniles, and I think that's good. I think there is still another show that we'll probably have at some point, just over the prison system and reform in general, where we'll dig into a little bit more of that side of things.
Yeah.
But that's about all we have for today.
It is. So, I mean, we just emptied your mind. You know what I mean? You packed it full a bunch of shit, and now it's gone.
Not much unlike my glass of booze. So
look at this over
there's
here.
A football game coming on here. I need another bend me over. So I'm gonna go make that happen. But
I love hearing you say that.
Thank you so much for staying with us today. It's always the most exciting part of the week outside of gay sex. I am Bob West. This is Scott Casanova. This is The Stiff Truth. Hit us up on Patreon. Hit us up on Amazon. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. Do it all. You can find us everywhere.
We're even in your mom's house. So check us out there. We'll see you next week.
See ya.